What's up and welcome back everybody. So today I'm going to start kind of a few videos of my chicken coop, chicken run, all my chicken life stuff. So there's a couple of things, just use this video as a guidance. I mean, I looked at some videos and I didn't see anybody did a nest box like mine. You can take the little things from multiple different videos to get a feel of what you want. This is raised off the ground. You can get one that's on the ground from ground up. There's really no no right or wrong way. Just do something to help keep your chickens secure, right? So we'll get started on this. I'll show you a few things. I'll show you how we made this, then we'll go through. I'll do another video of my run. I'll do another video of some things I've learned and some things that I would recommend if you are wanting to get into this kind of stuff, this chicken coop and all that fun stuff. So some things that I've learned from it that could probably help you. So those will be a couple of videos coming later, but for now, let's roll with this chicken coop. Okay, so our first step here is to cut out frames and legs. So I've already cut the frame out. It's 4 foot by 8 foot. That's the same size as my plywood. And here I'm cutting out the legs. I believe these are 36 inches. I believe I had a 12 foot long 4x4 post, cutting 3 feet a pop, maybe 30 inches. And I'm gonna secure up my frame right here, my 4x8 frame, and then I'm going to secure my post to it. I'm all using clamps, wood glue. I make sure it's all level, then I'm just screwing it in. Then I need a little support, so I made these little supports, just 45-degree angle button to it, and I'll put one on each side, and that will help really make sure that everything on the legs stay flush and level. And then to confirm, my legs are 30 inches tall, so it's going to be 30 inches off the ground to help kind of get a wheelbarrow underneath there to clean it out, whenever you need to clean it out. Totally forgot one of those important parts of the floor. You need some joists. You need 3 of them. I have 8 foot long, so I put 1 at 4, 1 at 2 feet, and 1 at 6 feet, or 2 feet from each end, and then 1 at 4 in the middle. So we have 3 total. You kind of need that to support this. So once I got those joists in there, I dug out the left side here, because I'm on a little slant. So I dug that out, made sure the base is all level, threw the top on, and screwed it in. All right, so now let's start framing each one of these sides. I'm starting with the front. This is going to be 4 feet tall, and then 4 feet, or 8 feet wide, if you will. So I framed up each side, or the ends of it, and then I put about 6 inches down, I put a board across of it, and that's just going to be where I make these windows, see? So I'm screwing in this top here, and I'm screwing in these windows that I made. They're 7 inches by 20 inches, each of them, and we just kind of centered them out on each side there. So then next, I'm going to measure down to the middle, and then I'm going to go 5 inches to the left, 5 inches to the right, so it's a 10-inch gap here, and that will be where I'm going to put this chicken door that I'm going to, while I'm doing a manual chicken door, this is what my supports will be to help that door slide. So this is just some framework, and I'm going to have windows on about every side of this. So once you get the windows made, then we just take some chicken wire and staple it up. So this is the back now, so I'm going to go to the back, and it's the same thing. This is about 42 inches tall and 8 feet wide. That's because my roof's going to slope, which I'll show you in a second. This is where my nesting boxes will be, so the back of them are going to be 6 inches off the ground so they don't get poop everywhere. And then there's another window that I'm kind of showing you there that I'm going to put the chicken wire in here. Nice long thin window. I think that's 5 inches by 5 feet. So there's my front all framed out. So now we're going to go to the sides. And this is me kind of measuring. I know how my framing it needs to be, but then also how tall we're going to make this. So here you see, this will be the front piece, or this will be the back piece, 42 inches. This is the front, 48 inches. All right, so you can see kind of how it's going to slope right here. 48 inches front, 42 to the back for water runoff. So this is going to be where my right side is. This is going to be where my door is. I have no bottom because I want to be able to scoop out the poop and bedding whenever I need to into a wheelbarrow. So my door's going to be 36 inches tall. So this 36 inches goes right into the middle of this 2x4. That way it can kind of rest shut on that 2x4. All right, so next I'm going to move on to my left side. And this is the bottom of it. You see it's about 44.5 inches wide here. And you can see this little X area where I'm cutting it out, and that's 1.5 inches because I'm going to have a 2x4 sitting right in there. You don't have to do it this way. The reason I'm doing it this way is because that way it'll make the bottom all flush all the way around. There won't be any crevices, kind of jagged crevices where they can get all their bird nastiness into. Then this is where the other part is going to sit on top of the other 2x4 is going to sit on top of there. All right, now the fun begins. Let's build this thing up. So here's the front. Got my drill, exterior wood screws, drilling in the bottom here. I'm going to come to the side. I'm going to piece this thing up here next to it. Check level, screw it, give it a couple of screws, some screws in the bottom, some screws to the side and the front. And, just building this thing out here. Slide to the back here in a second. Or, never mind. Psych. Go to the side. So then we're going to screw in the side here. And then we're going to go to the back. And this is where I have to kind of jigsaw the bottom right there. Kind of have to really maneuver it in. And I cut that part down there at the bottom right because also to kind of give me a good place to screw into also. All right, so there is all 4 sides up. Next up, let's get a roof on this bad boy. So I am making, this is going to be 5 feet long. It's going to have overhang 3 inches on the front, 9 inches on the back. The reason for that is to kind of give the nesting boxes in the back, a little bit more shelter from any rain runoff and stuff. So I have it up here, putting it up here as an angle, as you can see, because it is angled, 48 inches on the front, 42 tall on the back. So and then I've really got a nice little tight fit right here. I mean, look at that talent with just one person. That deserves a humble brag. So I screwed in the back there. We already screwed in the front, the other side. I'm just clamping them down and kind of piecing it all together. So then I'm up here and I'm putting one right down the middle, right down the kisser there, about 30 inches, and that's just going all the way across a 30 inch by 8 feet wide. Now let's put this baby together even more, really coming together. We're going to put some siding up. So we got some side paneling here. We're going to measure from one side to the other, top to bottom. So this one's going to be slanted. The sides are going to be slanted, as you can see. And then we're going to cut out the window, we just measure, you measure left to right. That window's a 10 by 11. So we'll cut out the area for the window. You want to cut it to where you can still have it'll still nail to the 2x4s though. So we have it cut. We have a nice little exotic camera angle here with little dead weed hanging over. And we are screwing this thing, nailing this thing up and in place. Next up is the front. So I'm using a jigsaw to cut out these windows too. You can use circular saw, jigsaw, whatever. I mean, jigsaw is going to get you better edges. So we're trying to use some mad talent to really put our chubby body weight up against this and be able to nail it in. You get a couple nails in, then you'd be good to go. It's all easy from there. I've not cut the door out yet. I will do that after this thing is all up. AKA right now, so it's 10 by 11. You can see I have written on there. I'm not cutting the very bottom there. That's enough for another 2x4 to rest right there so that their poop doesn't come out. Multi-tool, cut it, boom. Okay, so our first step will be to grab a 2x4 and frame out the back of this chicken coop where this nesting box is gonna go. We're gonna frame out 62 inches across. That way that's where this can be. So we're gonna cut some 2x4s and make this area 62 inches wide. Super windy out there today. I'm just gonna go frame that part up. It's just screwing a couple 2x4s into the back of this coop. Very simple. The ringleader. All right, so this not so pretty board will be the inside slants. Don't. So here we go. 15 inches tall. 12 inches tall on the outside part, 14 inches wide. I'm sitting out. So I'm gonna make 4 of these for mine because I have 5 nesting boxes. 4 inner parts, and then 2 ends, which I will have enough for that. All right, after we got those pieces cut, we will now move on to the floor. Like I said, 14 inches. So you can either piece it together in your garage or whatever, or you can piece it together out here, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna piece it together out here. I am gonna leave it, so I'm gonna set it on here, but I'm gonna leave a little gap. You can see I got a little mark. I'm leaving about a 3/4 inch gap back there so I can put a little ledge. I have a 1x3 that I'm going to put about right here just to help keep the chickens from kicking anything out, any of the nesting bedding. So as you can see, there's the frame side, so I just have the 2 sides where that are going to be the ends of this nesting boxes. That's what I didn't video record. So we screw in the bottom. Now we're going to screw in my pretty ends with my plywood. That's 15 inches tall, 15 inches tall down to 12 inches tall. That's how each one of these boxes is, 14 inches deep. So we're just kind of screwing them all into the floor and into the sides. And this is me kind of going all Rain Man, trying to make sure I get exactly perfect measurements on everything. Each one of these boxes is going to be about 12 inches wide. So it's 62 inches for 5 boxes because the thickness of each one of the thickness of the plywood adds a couple inches. So we'll screw all these in, nail all these in however we want, and then here's my 1x3 furring strip for the front to help hopefully keep them kicking all their stuff out. There's the meat and potatoes of it. So now we'll hit the roof on here. I don't have to go all the way into here and try to work with cute little cuts. I can just hit it right here on the outside. And that's about 12 inches. I want an 1.5 inch overhang on all sides. I have 65-inch boards. That's 62, easy enough. 13.5 long, we'll say here. All right, so now we'll go to making this back panel here. So I put the roof on. I did not on the nesting box. I put the roof on there. That way I can measure out exactly the width of everything. Because I'm basically gonna cut a hole. I'm cutting a couple holes here. One for the window back here and one for the nesting boxes. So whenever we cut this panel, it's gonna be quite a bit of cutting for this one area here. So once we cut all these out, then we go and we're gonna throw this baby up here, make sure it fits good, nail it in. And keep in mind my nesting box roof is off at this point. Once I get this on, stapled on, then I'll nail my roof back on. So now we measure here, 12.5. So I'm gonna make one that is about 3.5 inches. And that's what I'm going to put the hinge door onto. So that 3.5 inches, if I make a little piece to go all the way across, basically acts as this to help keep the nesting in. And then I can pull the door above it. So we'll go cut a 3.5 inch wide piece right here. All right, so attaching the 3.5 inch piece down here to the bottom. Windy day, see all that? So once we have that attached, now I'm going to measure. It's about 9 inches. And that's to my roof that I've nailed back on there. And so as you can see, there it is with my plywood nailed back on there. And it has a hard time shutting in some spots. So what I recommend is, to avoid this, is you can just put weather stripping or another little board up in there to where you don't have to worry about having to cut and finagle like I had to these tight areas. All right, so before I close this whole thing in on the side here, for my last side door area, I'm going to put some roost in there. Use 2x2s. You can use sticks, whatever you want. And we're going to go from one side to the other. This side slants a little bit, so we'll cut that slanted part and go dry fit it. All right, so there it is cut. So now we're going to put this to where this is going to be a door in here, and we're going to open the door, and basically the door is going to open So when it shuts, the door will be pushed on this. So about halfway through each of these are going to be where our door is. So we're going to measure that and we're going to cut it out. So here is our huge door that we're going to cut out. So we will cut where the door is, and then whatever left over, we will staple. Now. All right, so a quick little update since the last time we talked. I've done a couple things, mainly just paint. I'm not going to show you how I painted because, hey, anybody can paint, and if you're paying somebody to paint for you, then stop. But so I did that mainly because I want to go ahead and get these doors up here. The door for my coop, or for my nesting box, the door for my side. And I don't want to paint over latches. So we have some trim. Those are 1x3 furring strips. You don't have to get those, but that's what we're going to connect to make it look good, which I don't care about that because it's a chicken coop and it's dirty. One of the dirtiest places in the world, but so we can connect to that. The main purpose is for the furring strips, is for it to give me something to connect to. So while that's waiting to dry, let's put the roof up. So for this coop, it was actually pretty simple. I just grabbed 2 corrugated metal panels from local box store, 12-foot long, cut them 5.5 feet. So I had an inch that I wasted, or a foot that I wasted on each one. So just cut those 2 panels 5.5 feet, and then use those 4 pieces to throw up here on the roof. So the only other prep for the roof here is that I dry fitted it up here, and then I marked where I want each of these little braces to go. So that's where each panel will sit on, is one of those, and we can just use roofing screws to screw it in. So much like anything that you do in life, how you start will determine how you finish. So whenever we put these roofs on, we're going to start making sure this thing is right where we want it to, level, flush, looks good, going at a good angle. So put the first piece on, throw the second piece on. It's kind of a whole bunch of going back and forth, up and down, and they should all match up by the time we get to the end. I dry fit them all before I started because I don't want to really screw it in and then have to come and move it over a couple inches. So I made sure that was all exactly where I wanted. Marked them on those boards that I showed, and it was pretty simple. So all the rest of this is a lot of aesthetics. So besides making sure that these doors are latched up, so we got aesthetics by putting some trim on here. Now the trim does serve a purpose to help me screw in the latches. It gives me some thicker wood to screw into. So this is me framing up or putting trim all around that door. We'll put trim on each side, so that's completely aesthetic, but it does look good. It classes it up. So trim on each side, all 4 sides. And then we trimmed up around the windows also. So me being a man would have never thought of this stuff, but having a wife really makes you, really lets you kind of work your pretty bone here. And this baby does end up looking, I think pretty clean and a lot better with the trim than without it. So we'll trim the outside part of the door, and then we'll trim the inside part of the door. And that does help also for connecting latches and all that stuff. That kind of is pretty important on those parts. So next we'll come up with the latches, screw them on for the door. Lots of kind of dry fitting. If you have 2 hands, it's a lot simpler to do, but very doable, just one person. Just put some latches on the top and bottom, or some hinges on the top and bottom. Should open and shut nicely. We'll do the same thing with the nesting box. And we ended up using 4 hinges, I believe. Probably overkill, but it's just how it worked out with the with how that trim is. Kind of worked out, and it does plenty good. And these hinges are dirt cheap, so no reason not to. And that looks like a success to me. All right, absolutely beautiful. So the only last real essential thing that you need to do is to get yourself some silicone caulk, and caulk probably up here, so that any rain or roof runoff doesn't get in there and get any eggs. We did put some latches on this, latch on this door, so that's essential. But everything else is, I'm going to add some trim to the windows, and I'm going to put the same corrugated roof on this where my box is. I'll show that, but that's not essential. You don't have to do that. All right. So here's me put on the roof on top of the nesting box. I also put a little roof, kind of like little eyelashes, my wife says, on the front windows. And I did that by taking a 2x2 or 2x4 and cutting an angle like so. And I'll show you what that looks like on the Coop. So yeah, I cut these at 25-degree angle, slide it right through there. Then I cut a little bit larger corrugated roof, about 1.5 inch overhang on that, and that's kind of what it looks like dry fit. So here you can see our pretty little eyelashes secured up here, so you see the angle just a little bit over like that. So that's one addition that we did. Another addition that I kind of recommend definitely with the nesting boxes is I ended up, so these are the latches that we use. These work great. But sometimes, definitely whenever you first get chickens, they don't want to go in here. So, oh, hello, sweetheart. So we used some caulk, some weather stripping down in here. If you can see, just some normal weather stripping you use for your house. And we did that so that it would really make it kind of airtight, did not distract the chickens, did not discourage them from coming in there. Another thing that we used here is I switched to this hinge. This is much more secure, like that a whole lot more. Yeah, that's a latch. I meant a latch, not a hinge. Okay, so there you have it. So there's a Coop for you right there. So what we'll do next is I'll do a video of some run stuff, how I made the run. We'll do a video of kind of things I've learned to do, not to do, some little fun things you can put in here for your chickens. As you can see, Christmas just finished. There's our Christmas tree. So stick around. I'll be adding those up soon. Oh yeah, and a door video. We'll be doing a door video that's tied to a string. I'll show you how we rig that up too. Thanks, God bless, love you.